What's up, family? I hope everybody is well. Hope everybody is excited about life right now, pursuing their dreams. I just wanted to make a quick video just briefly addressing the response that is taking place in New York City as a result of the success of the Knicks right now, and them after so many years making it to the conference championship. There's some that might be looking at it like it's just basketball. Why are they making a big deal about the game of basketball? And I'm just gonna share some of my personal experience just growing up in New York, and hopefully it just brings some light to what is taking place right now. Growing up in New York, there are basketball courts everywhere. Okay, you'll find them in the ghetto. You'll find them in the suburbs. Every type of neighborhood. You can roll up to a certain park here and there, and you can go and shoot around. You can play pickup games. You can do so many different things. And one of the things about the game of basketball is it's a very inexpensive game to learn in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? All you need is a ball, and you can be able to go on, practically any court in any neighborhood and go ahead and build your skills. But when you go on a basketball court and you're spending some time there, there's a lot of things that happen in a short period of time. One of the things that might happen is, some other kid might come on the court and don't have a ball, or they might not be able to afford a ball. And it says a lot when you go to the point and you share your ball, and you're able to pretty much make somebody else's day. You understand what I'm saying? You're dribbling the ball around, you're shooting the ball around. You might play a few games. It might be, one other child, and maybe, a group of kids that basically just outside, which is nothing to do, kind of bored, and all of a sudden somebody's on the court with a basketball. You know what I'm saying? And now we can make a whole day of this, for as long as the person with the ball is out here. So there have been friendships that have been built, or you might get a chance to get to know a little bit about a person. Let's say if they just, move here from out of town, they don't know anybody, you know what I'm saying? Or they might be in a situation where they're coming from, a very dangerous neighborhood or bad school, or they had a bad experience, and they might share it with you on the court, while you playing ball and things of that nature. And one of the things that's really cool about the game is that sometimes even lifelong friendships are made. You might find out that you even go to the same school, or if you go to different schools, that might end up being the meeting spot. It's on the basketball court. So you have an opportunity to build friendships right there. And, you share, secrets about how to get good at the game. Let's say if you're having a bad day shooting and you're missing shots after shots after shots after shots, there's somebody who's been watching you during the course of that day, and they might be able to see what you're doing wrong. Your elbow might not be in a good position. You're not snapping your wrist right, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Your feet might not be set right. You know what I mean? Or you're shooting jumpers without jumping. You know what I mean? And they'll stop and they'll show you, what you might not be doing correctly. And you may already even know, what they're talking about. But just the very fact that they cared enough to come and share a couple tips with you, for the most part, you're going to have somebody who's going to listen, and a relationship might be built from there. Friendship might be built from there. You know what I'm saying? So you have children on the court, right? And even, grown-ups that are on the court, some of them come from great neighborhoods and homes with great financial situations. Some may come from, poor neighborhoods or poor homes, you know what I'm saying? And they're all coming together. You got people wearing, fresh pair of J's to people wearing some beat up pro kids. You know what I'm saying? And we're all on the court together enjoying this game. You know what I mean? So it brings all types of people together. Black, white, Eastern Indian, you know what I'm saying? People from everywhere. They might be Japanese, so on and so forth. We're on the court getting to know each other. And the thing that's crazy about basketball too, you can never, and that's one of the first lessons you learn on the court, is to never judge a book by its cover, because there might be some kid coming on the court looking all quirky and, you know what I'm saying, all crazy, and he might have the best game on the court. You know what I'm saying? He might be embarrassing everybody, with the J's and his understanding of the fundamentals. His form is great. You know what I mean? His attitude may be great. You know what I mean? He's encouraging other people on the team, even though he might be the best one, the best player on the court. There's all type of different situations, and the basketball court is another place where people are welcome, whether you can play the game or not. I haven't always seen that in the soccer field or the baseball field. A lot of different places you can be in a position where you don't really have the skill, and in between pickup games, as long as you're not doing this during the game, but in between pickup games, you can go on the court and miss shots and try to dribble and lose the ball, and nobody's judging you. You know what I'm saying? You're actually trying to do everything you've been seeing the good players do on the court, or you just might be there, on the basketball court trying to get girls, or on the court, hanging out with your friends that can play, or whatever the case may be. But it's never a place where anybody's going to make you feel awkward. It's not a place where anybody's going to make you feel like you don't belong there. It's a place where you can come and gather. And I've even seen, older gentlemen who, they might have been in the streets, or gentlemen who they might have had jobs. They were grown and they came on the court and they're taking a button-down shirt off. You know what I'm saying? They're putting a suit on the hanger and hanging up in the car, and they're coming on the court to play with some old friends that they grew up with. And this dudes is coming from all walks of life. Some might have warm-up suits on like me, or some might have short sets on, you know what I'm saying? Some might have construction outfits on, you know what I mean? Some might be doctors, lawyers, and it's evident by some of the things that, you see or they say, and they get on the court, and it's almost like they've gone back in time. It's almost like they're kids again, because now they're talking about, old times or old coaches, you know what I'm saying, or relationships that they've been in the past, just kicking around and joking and have a good time, or they're roasting each other, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it's like all of the stuff that they took off before they got on the court doesn't matter anymore. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter at that point. Like, they're there to play the game. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, and it's bringing them back, to old places and spaces and time and memories and people, and they're just enjoying the game, and they're enjoying each other, enjoying the time and the space that they're in at that time. And there are players who have made it, some that they know personally, that have made it out of the hood, and we understand their stories. We understand the things that they've seen. We understand the things that they've done growing up, and just knowing that, they took the game a little bit more seriously, or they made a little better decisions in life, or whatever, that kept them locked in to success in the game, and they made it out the hood. You know what I mean? And they might be from our neighborhood, right? And we see them on that next level, playing college ball, in the NBA, doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? And we just reflect on some memories that we've had with them growing up. You know what I'm saying? And then there's some who share their stories that we might not come from the same hood, but we can relate to them. You know what I mean? Or they might have a situation in their life that we wish we had. Like there are some players that learn the game from their fathers, you know, and we might not have had our father in our life, and we're able to see ourselves on a whole nother level and imagine ourselves on that level, you know what I mean? And imagine like being there, you know, if we had that opportunity to have a dad who could pass on the game to us like that, you know, and we might even be in some cases living vicariously through that individual. And on a personal level too, me and my brother, Maurice, used to go to the basketball court on a regular basis. You know, we will go to a spot called the New Courts. We will go to the Boys Club. We will go to the Arbor Hill Community Center, you know, and we will also go to Kobe Park or Washington Park and go and play ball. And we would see all of these different type of things. You know what I'm saying? We would sometimes experience, you know, people coming and rolling up. And this is, you know, in the 80s, and people rolling up with the box trucks, and they're pulling out skates and renting skates, and there are people skating on the basketball court, and the whole community is on the basketball court. You know what I'm saying? People from all ages and from all walks of life. You know, you got the dude out there with the boombox playing, and everybody's just having a good time, enjoying themselves. You know, people playing basketball, people skating. You know what I'm saying? People dancing, people singing, have a good time. People playing, talking, laughing. You know what I mean? And it's respect and it's love in the hood. And then sometimes on the basketball court, like I said, we meeting new people, making new friends that might go to our school, or they might go to another school, you know what I'm saying, that we're familiar with, you know, and we're all like gelling together and having a good time. You know what I mean? And sometimes, yeah, it's trash talking. Sometimes it look like somebody's about to fight. There might be fights that break out every now and then, but at the end of the day, we had a good time. At the end of the day, we feeling good about that experience, you know what I'm saying? And as soon as possible, we want to go and we want to enjoy it again. The love for the game of basketball comes from our experiences. Also, there's been times when we've, you know, played several different games on several different systems throughout the years, from the 80s on up. You know, game system after game system, game after game that came out, and they all got better. They all got more realistic. And we spent time, if we couldn't be on the court, we spent time in our rooms, at our friends' houses, at our favorite cousins' houses, playing these games. You know what I'm saying? Playing these games on these game systems, talking about the game, you know, pattern, sometimes being on the basketball court and, you know, calling out certain names. We try to pattern ourselves after certain players. And when we try to shoot like them or dribble like them or make moves like them, we'll call out their name. You know what I'm saying? Kobe, Jordan, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Curry, whatever. We're calling out these names, you know, because we're trying to take on the persona and thus, you know, emulate the skill of these players. You know what I mean? And sometimes we got it and sometimes we don't. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You know, you just grow to love the game of basketball. In gym class, it's one of our favorite sports. And we might learn something from our coach. And then some of us have even had opportunities to get on the basketball team and play for the school because of what, you know, the gym teacher saw us do on the court during gym class. And they might tell us, hey, I think you got a shot. I think you need to go out for the team, you know, and help us to believe in ourselves. When before that, we might not have. You know what I'm saying? I remember me and my brother, and you know, he passed away in a car accident back in 1995. But I remember we used to stop at this store called Stewart's. And then we would go ahead and we would get this big each of us would get this big half-gallon of like iced tea or lemonade, or, you know what I'm saying, whatever we felt like drinking for the day, and we would ride our bikes up to the basketball court, and we would play basketball all day long. And we would, kids will come, and then they might have to go back home, and then another batch of kids will come. I'm telling you, we was on the court all day. You know what I'm saying? And we would be out there, man, playing hard, sweating, fouling each other, making shots, missing shots, making plays, messing up plays, doing all kind of things, and we would be running all day, and not even to think about the fact that we were staying in good shape or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Fitness, it wasn't on the forefront of our mind, but we were enjoying what we were doing. There was times we took the game very seriously, to the point where if we missed a shot, we got mad. If we messed up a play, we got mad. You know what I mean? If somebody fouled us, we got mad, but we would continue on and play the game, and there's so many different memories I'm sure that a lot of people can share. I know that there's people that met their wives on a court, or they you know what I'm saying, met their husbands on a court, and all different types of situations have taken place, whether they were playing basketball or they were sitting on the sidelines. You know what I'm saying? And it's just so much more than just what you see on TV. There's so much more on what the commentators are arguing about. And we had that in the hood too, you know what I'm saying? And still, people talking about the game. If they're at a point where they're waiting, for a pickup game or whatever the case may be, or it might be after a long day of playing and everybody's about to go home. We talking about different players. We talking about stats, dudes arguing. Man, in the barbershop, arguments about the game over and over again. You see it, you hear about it, and sometimes you get interested in paying more attention to the game because of an argument you heard in the barbershop. One person, their stats, the knowledge of the stats is far better, is far exceeding, the person they're arguing with, and they're shutting them down. Or you might hear situations or see situations where they're going toe to toe with the stats, and you listening to this one over there, you listening to that one over there. He got a good point. Yeah, he got a good point, or she got a good point. They know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? And you pay more attention to the game, so you know what you're talking about. Next thing you know, you having discussions, you having arguments with people, you know what I'm saying, about the game, whether it's on the job, whether it's on the court, you know what I'm saying? It could be at the barbershop. It could be anywhere. It could be at the men's fellowship meeting at church, which is what I'm on my way to right now. You know what I mean? It could be anywhere. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, there's so much to experience. Sometimes when we were younger, there was certain, sneakers that we would buy, and we would think just because we bought this individual sneakers, this famous player's sneakers, that we would be able to run faster or jump higher or whatever, just because we bought these kicks. You know what I mean? And we would just go that much harder playing the game, not really realizing it's us. You know what I'm saying? It's not the shoes, but some commercials will argue and say it's got to be the shoes. You know what I mean? But gear that we would purchase, like the way that we would rock the gear, you know what I mean? It was all influenced by the game. The game has so much power and so much influence even on our culture. You know what I'm saying? Even vice versa. Our culture have an influence on the game. So you can go to different hoods, go to different areas, and see how they rock on the court based on the culture's influence of the game, or see how we rock at school, or how we dressing at the mall, or things of that nature, because of the influence of the game on us. This thing is way bigger than what we're seeing on TV. You know what I'm saying? It's way deeper than just what you see on TV. If you're a spectator just watching, and you're watching these crowds that are going crazy. We've had loved ones that have made it in the sport. We have loved ones that might have had skills, and have brought hope to the hood, and for whatever reason, they might not have made it. You know what I'm saying? They might have gotten killed. They might have gone to jail. They might have gotten somebody pregnant, or, you know, just didn't focus, and, you know, we were able to witness their greatness because they might not have given up on the game if they're still alive. We might be able to witness their greatness, you know, in community events. You know what I'm saying? It might have been for fundraisers. It might have been, you know, so many different things. We were able to see the greatness right in the neighborhood and just know, oh yeah, you know, this local player in the hood is better than a lot of cats you see on the NBA, and people will gather around to come to see him, even if they're not paying any ticket prices, or this player is not getting paid for playing, just to see this gift, this artistic skill, this beautiful talent in motion. Man, it's an awesome thing to behold. It's an awesome thing, it's an awesome thing to see. You know what I mean? So there's just so much, and there's those of us who have learned life lessons on the court. You know what I mean? We learn people skills on the court, how to be a team player, you know, and those skills we can take to the job, or for entrepreneurs, we can work on our business. Games, lessons that we learn from the game of basketball is so much more than what you see on these television networks. You know what I'm saying? So I hope I just shared a few things, and I could go on and on, I'm telling you, but I hope I shared a few things that'll just help you to understand it's more than what you see on TV. The game of basketball, it's a little deeper. You might want to take another look at it. I'll holla at y'all later. Peace.